So let's continue with tutorial 2.1.1 of module 2.1. In this tutorial, we are going to understand about the structure of prompts for generative AI in software testing. How the prompt should be structured to get you the best outcome when you are using the prompt in software testing. That's we are going to understand in detail in this tutorial. Then there will be hands-on, wherein I'll explain with the real prompt about the different components that are there in the effective prompt. So let's understand the theoretical concepts first. So why the structure of the prompt is important in generative AI. Now Gen AI output depends heavily on how the prompts are designed. It's directly proportional, basically how you input or how the better quality input or better quality prompt you input, the better output you will get from the generative AI. A well-structured prompt ensures the accuracy, relevance and quality of the testware generation. So if you have your prompt which is well structured, which has all the relevant information, that actually LLM understands and provides you the better outcome. So it will generate better testware in that case. A structured prompts for software testing typically includes 6 key components. First thing is role, second is context, instruction, input data, constraints and output format. These are the 6 key components. If you master in any prompt development, your output will be outstanding as compared to anyone else who is just randomly typing in the search queries in generative AI. Now generative AI is not about searching. It's not a simple search engine wherein you just type in anything and you'll get the best answers. To get the best answers, you have to ensure that the prompt that you are typing in is actually good enough. It's designed well and includes these 6 components so that you get best answers from the LLM. And prompts are like the blueprint for the generative AI, which guides the AI response. It's like a blueprint that follow this. This is the role. I'm instructing you to do this. This is the format that you should provide me the answer in, right? For example, I want the answer in the Gherkin syntax. I want the test cases to be designed in the Gherkin syntax rather than just asking provide me the test cases or design the test cases for login feature. You include these 6 components and you'll see the difference, and we'll understand that with the real example. So let's understand these details one by one. What exactly the role, context and instruction. So role is the first component of a good prompt, right? So we have 6 components. Let's do one by one. Role is what is the persona? Who is interacting with the Gen AI? That's what the perspective or the persona. That's the role. For example, you are prompting as a tester, as a test manager, as a test lead or an automation engineer or a test director. How you are? What's the role? What's the persona? It shapes the tone and responsibility, and LLM then understands that it has to provide answer in that tone and responsibility. Okay. For example, act as a functional tester and design functional test cases, right? So this is the role. Then we have the context. So context provides the background information that Gen AI model needs to determine the test condition. For example, you have the test object, the functionality, the environment. So what is the background information that can be provided so that Gen AI understands the background information, provides you the better outcome. When we say context, say for example, are you testing the mobile application for the banking app, or are you testing the website for the banking, right? Or banking website. So whether banking application, the mobile app or the banking website, that's the providing the context, and based on that context, the Gen AI understands that you are actually prompting the test cases or prompting to create test cases for login functionality for the mobile app and not for the website. Otherwise, it will provide you the generic test cases. Okay, that's the context on a high level. Then you have the instruction, which is more of clear, concise directives for the task. So instructing what should be done. For example, generate boundary test cases for username length between 5 to 15 characters. So very clear boundaries that you are setting. The instruction for this username field, which is of this length, suggest me the boundary test cases. Okay, this is the instruction. Now the fourth is the input data. For example, for which user story, for which requirement, for which acceptance criteria you are trying to generate the test cases, or providing the screenshots, the code, the existing test cases, based on what you are trying to get the output. So input data helps the Gen AI to generate context aware results. So for example, if I say refer to the existing test cases and suggest me new test cases in the similar format, that's the input data. Okay, so and then you provide the existing test case either as a file upload or as a link, then GenAI knows that this was the existing format and this is what I have to follow. That's the input data. And this is not the only one example of the input data. Many other cases you will see you can provide input data. Then it helps the GenAI to generate context-aware results. For example, providing acceptance criteria. System must lock account after 3 failed login attempts, right? So provide the user story. That's the input data. For this user story, generate the test cases. For this acceptance criteria, consider this acceptance criteria and the constraints, and then generate the test cases. So that's the input data, providing any of the detail, user story, acceptance criteria, screenshot, code, existing test cases, existing code base. Okay. Then you have the constraints. Now constraints are the restrictions. What is the restriction that you want to put to GenAI? Rather than going too generic, I want you to restrict the answers in this space. So define restrictions or the special consideration. For example, generate test cases only for functional testing, exclude performance scenarios. So you are putting a clear constraint that I do not want any of the performance test cases for the feature. I want only functional test cases to be generated. So you are putting the constraints. That's what the constraint is. Then you have the output format. How the LLM should output the test cases or any of the document that you are prompting. So you specify the clear style and structure of the output, and then the GenAI will follow the similar output format and provide you the results in exact same format, the new scenarios in the exact same format. For example, provide test cases in Gherkin format rather than standard step format. If your team is storing test cases or writing test cases in the Gherkin syntax, you then specify the example that I want the answers, I want the test cases to be generated in the Gherkin syntax. Okay, so that's the output format. 6 key factors or 6 key components that are very important for the structure of the prompt in GenAI to get the absolute perfect outcome from the generative AI. Okay, now if we talk about the best practices, combining the basic structure prompt, which is the 6 component, ensuring that you have these 6 components in your prompt with other prompting technique, for example, the prompt chaining, few shot prompting, one shot prompting will give you best answers. Tailoring the prompt to the specific task and type of LLM used. Now, based on different types of LLM, the prompt should be tailored as well. Always reviewing the generative AI output for accuracy and completeness. That's another very important thing. Do not blindly copy and paste the outcome. It doesn't matter how good your prompt is. Making sure the output you have got, whatever output you have got, you actually go ahead, review it and see that it actually makes sense and is in line with what you were looking for from the generative AI. So these are some of the key best practices for prompt design. So that's all for this video. In the next one, we'll understand another key topic of module 2.1. Thank you.